My name is Ebony. I'm from Stoke in the United Kingdom, and Alhamdulillah, I've been a Muslim for just over a year and a half now. When I look back at my life before Islam, it feels like I was living in a completely different world. I wouldn't describe myself as a true atheist because deep down, I always believed there had to be something greater than us, something beyond what we could see. I just didn't know what that was. I grew up in a family that wasn't religious at all. My parents didn't really practice anything. Toward the end of her life, my mum did become more spiritual. After separating from my dad, she started going to church, joining food banks and getting involved in charity. But even then, it wasn't because she was fully convinced by Christianity. It was more about finding comfort, community, and somewhere to belong. She still carried unanswered questions in her heart. She believed there was something out there, but she didn't know what it was, and she never found the clarity she was searching for. As for me, my life was just the so-called normal British lifestyle. Drinking alcohol at home with my family was something completely ordinary. Going out with friends, clubbing, dating boys, staying out until 3 a.m. and ending up in a takeaway shop laughing about gossip and drama, that was my reality. My circle of friends all shared the same priorities: drinking, partying, and chasing excitement. On the outside, it looked like fun. I told myself I was enjoying life. But if I'm honest, there was always an emptiness inside me, a feeling that something was missing. I would come home after nights of so-called fun and feel this strange hollowness in my heart. I thought I was living life to the fullest, but deep down, I was completely lost. Everything began to change because of my sister. About 8 years ago, during Ramadan, she accepted Islam. Before that, she was just like me, clubbing, drinking, and living recklessly. Then suddenly, she took her Shahada and her whole life transformed. It was impossible not to notice the difference. She became calmer, more confident, more peaceful. She stopped caring about what people thought of her. She stopped wasting her time on meaningless things. Even small habits, like the silly arguments we used to have as sisters, disappeared completely. She became a woman of dignity, strength, and faith. But not everyone around us was supportive. Some family members called her a disgrace. Even my mom, when she first realized my sister was serious, broke down in tears. She thought it was just a phase, or that my sister was being influenced by others. She didn't want to believe that her daughter had chosen a completely different faith. But the truth was, my sister wasn't doing it for anyone. She had studied Christianity, Buddhism, and other religions before she made her choice. She was single at the time, with no one pressuring her. It was purely her conviction, purely between her and Allah. At first, I was skeptical. I would ask her questions like, "Are you really doing this for yourself, or is it for someone else?" But she stood firm. Her strength in the face of criticism amazed me. She was confident in who she was and what she believed, and that confidence eventually started to affect me. Even my mom, who was initially upset, began to ask questions. She would challenge her pastors at church with things she had learned from Islam. "Why does your religion say this, but Islam says that?" My mom became curious about Islam, though she never took Shahada before passing away 4 years ago. But still, she grew to respect my sister's commitment. For me, the change was slow. Step by step, I found myself drawn closer. I stopped eating pork. I tried fasting during Ramadan. And when my mom passed away, I gave up alcohol completely. Yet I was still struggling. I was in a long-term relationship, raising my 3-year-old daughter, and I often felt torn between two worlds. One pulling me back into clubs and parties, and the other pulling me toward faith and purpose. There was even a time when I almost gave up everything. I was ready to walk away from my relationship and live as a single mother. I felt so confused, so stuck between who I was and who I wanted to be. But subhanallah, Allah had other plans for me. My husband, who at that time was still my partner, was also searching for truth. After a trip we went on, he came back with a completely different mindset. He started visiting the mosque, learning, and asking questions. Within just 2 days, he accepted Islam. From then on, he was giving me dawah every single day, along with my sister and her husband. For 2 weeks straight, my husband kept asking me, "Are you ready? Will you take your Shahada?" And finally, Alhamdulillah, I did. I didn't go to the mosque for it. I took my Shahada at home, sitting on the sofa, with my sister, her husband, my nephews, and my little daughter by my side. It was such a simple moment, no big ceremony, no crowd, but it was everything. In that instant, my life finally made sense. Of course, not everyone celebrated my choice. I lost friends. People I had known since school slowly drifted away from me. But what I gained was far greater than anything I lost. I found sisters in faith, a real community, and most importantly, a true purpose in life. When I look back now, I can see Allah's perfect plan. Within 6 years of my sister's Shahada, the rest of us followed. My husband became Muslim, my brother became Muslim, my children are growing up as Muslims. All of this started with one person, my sister. She never pressured me, she never begged me, she never forced me to have uncomfortable conversations. She simply trusted Allah, remained patient, and allowed her actions to speak louder than words. That patience changed our entire family. One of the most beautiful experiences for me after becoming Muslim was attending an Islamic retreat. At first, I refused to go. I didn't even feel confident enough to step inside a mosque, let alone spend days at a retreat. But my husband booked it anyway, took time off work, and told me, "We're going." I resisted at first, but Alhamdulillah, going there was exactly what I needed. At that time, I felt myself drifting away from practicing properly. That retreat revived my faith. It gave me the boost I needed to reconnect with Islam and to bring it back into my home. Now, my 5-year-old daughter is already proud to be Muslim. She talks about it with her friends, she's excited to learn, and she inspires me to be better. Seeing her innocence and joy reminds me why this path is worth everything. I don't just want Islam for myself. I want to raise a generation that knows Allah, that lives with guidance, and that avoids the mistakes I once made. Islam saved me. It saved my marriage. It saved my family. And inshallah, it will protect my future generations. Without Islam, I know I would still be lost in clubs, alcohol, and meaningless nights. With Islam, I found peace, clarity, and purpose. And to anyone listening who is thinking about Islam, wondering whether to take that step, I want you to know this. If you're even considering it, then you already know the truth deep in your heart. Don't let the opinions of people stop you. Don't let fear hold you back. At the end of the day, you came into this world alone, and you will leave it alone. None of the outside noise matters. What matters is your heart, your relationship with Allah, and the peace that comes from surrendering to Him. For me, Islam isn't just a religion. It is life itself. It's the reason I wake up every day with peace in my heart. And I can say with complete certainty, Islam didn't just change me. It saved my life.